Colleagues, I'm just really glad I'm giving my speech now, because if this goes on much longer, this will be a binder full of, I keep adding people and adding remembrances, and so I'm just very glad I'm at this point right now. I stand before you humbled and thankful for the wonderful opportunity to serve the residents of the 89th District and all the residents of Michigan for the past 6 years. My district lies along the eastern shore of Lake Michigan, features the terminus of both the Grand River and the Black River, is home to the two busiest state parks in Michigan, Holland and Grand Haven. We have miles of shoreline, the Grand Haven Coast Guard Festival, marinas with sailboats and powerboats, and thousands of acres of blueberries and flowering shrubs. It has 2 cities, 1 village, and 8 townships, each with their own unique character. I thank my constituents for electing me and re-electing me to this seat, for the many meetings, discussions at coffee hours, prayers of support, chats over ice cream, fun at fireworks, and questions at chamber events. It has been a singular honor and blessing to have represented this special area of Michigan. I would not be here today delivering my going away speech were it not for a question that my husband Roger asked me when I contemplated a run in 2010. In early 2010, a few gentlemen of the 7 who filed for this seat had already declared, and my husband asked me this question: what would you do if you knew you could not lose? That question, along with his unfailing belief in me, prompted me to run for this office. For all his love and support, I'm not going to get out my tissues. Cooking and minding the home front, I am so thankful. Each week as I left for Lansing, his familiar refrain to me was, "Have fun storming the Capitol." And that's from a movie, in case you don't know that. And equally, as I struggled with the decision on legislation, he advised me to do what I think is right. There are several special people in my life that I need to thank as well. Our sons, Nate and Colin, their wives, Dina and Becky, and our grandchildren, Evie, Braxton, Camden, and Claire, who are always patient, supportive through these years. Whether they handed out candy, put up signs, pulled together celebration parties, or just wanted to hang out at the Ferrisburg 4th of July celebration, I am so appreciative of their support, and I hope they know how much I love them. But a special shout out to my daughter-in-law, Dina, a teacher who's had to bear with patience, a mother-in-law who served on and eventually chaired the education committee. It's a heavy burden, I think. To my father-in-law and mother-in-law, Don and Barb Price, who graciously welcomed me into their home here in Lansing for the last 14 years. They worried over my late nights and my travel, and were always proud and encouraging me of serving. And thank you seems to be just an inadequate way to express my gratitude for all you have done for me for the 42 years I've been part of your family. To my extended family, Janet, Sarah, Bob Wielinga, Elsie Claggett, Carol and Dale Linton, Jenny and Josh Linton and their boys, thank you for gladly volunteering for parades and inventing new ways to throw candy under vehicles to surprise those on the other side of the street. Thank you to my sister Jennifer, a Californian who gladly attended my swearing-ins, using her talent of baking to supply us with food and telling me she was proud of her big sister. To our best friends Karen and Larry Mulder, who looked into this realm of politics with me, tried to understand it, and loved me in spite of my love of politics. Thank you. To my 3 role models, former Representative Jessie Dahlman, who helped me understand and learn campaigning in her first run for the House, former Representative and Senator Patty Burkholz, who allowed me the opportunity to run her House and Senate campaigns and afforded me the opportunity to work in the Michigan Senate for 8 years, and to former Representative Barb Vanderveen, all who have always listened and encouraged me. My former 4 co-workers from Patty's office in the Senate, who I know will be lifelong friends, and I owe so much thanks for just a great time together. Sally Durfee, Beth Beebe, Marilyn Laponzi, and Joy Brewer. And especially to Mary Aline, who always did my campaign filings. Can't believe it. To my staff over the past 6 years, Deb O'Brien, Sherry Sophia, Alex Griffin, Chelsea Bowman, Alyssa Van Hyft, and Dorothy Gordon. Thank you for your excellent constituent service, your remarkable abilities to solve difficult issues for constituents, and for keeping me on track. Without all of you, and I think they are up there, there's Dorothy up there, these years would have been far less enjoyable. To my committee clerk of 4 years, from local government to education, Mary Lou Therrien, thank you for all your wise counsel, for your anticipating needs, and your diligence in running our committee meetings. My policy staff in both local government and education, Allie Bush and Shanda Greco in local government, Matt Schuler and Eric Griggs in education. It is so reassuring to me that we have such bright young people willing to serve the citizens of Michigan with their critical thinking, analytical skills, and writing ability. And to Ann Blankenhorn in Senate Policy, it has been a pleasure working with you for so many years. Thank you for all your expertise in education. To the policy staff in both the Republican and Democratic caucus, you are all amazing, and the citizens of this state are well served by you. Thank you. Especially a shout out to Leah Warrow, who I got to know working on energy while I worked in the Senate. To the staff of LSB, you are the record keepers of our ideas and our legislation and true experts at what you do. I want to also do a special recognition of Tim Van Wingen as he retires for his years of writing education legislation. It is wonderful to have such consistency and expertise in this area. House fiscal staff, you are all excellent professionals who are treasures. We are blessed, I think, to have Bethany Wixall, and I would propose a budget amendment. I think she should have 24-hour security. We would be lost without her. To the facility staff, thank you for the care you show our buildings and our offices each and every day. Working in this building for these many years never fails to take my breath away. And a special shout out to Christina Gonzalez Aikman, one of our evening maintenance folks who was always cheerful and always said hello. Hi, Amanda. To our sergeants and session staff, you are the embodiment of the word professional. Thank you for protecting us, even from ourselves, and for your special care in capturing the words we speak, the motions we make, and the votes we take. You're all wonderful folks. To my longtime CPA and campaign treasurer, Chuck Brower, thank you for taking on this role and always discussing politics before tax returns. To my seatmates, I've just had really wonderful seatmates. Marty Nolenberg for my first term, Dale Zorn, both who have now gone on to the Senate. But God in his wisdom, or Ed McBroom and his seating chart, saved the best for last. It is a joy, a comfort, and a blast to have Kathy Crawford as a seatmate. And I will miss our late night jelly bean eating, adult coloring book episodes, or reading her book as we voted on legislation, and most of the time just laughed. To Jace Bolger and the J team, no tissues. Thank you for your leadership as the class of 2011 first came into office. You set a wonderful vision for Michigan, and I'm so proud to have served with you. To Eric Nesbitt and Pete Lund, these two gentlemen have used their incredible talents, love of percentages, and politics for our caucus. Mere words cannot account for the debt we owe you two. And I thought I would make it past this, but you all know me too well. To Kevin Cotter, for your belief in me that I could chair education, I think. I came into the legislature with a love for local government, and I leave with a passion for education because of your belief in me. I have special memories that I wanted to share with you. To my 2011 classmates, it's been a pleasure to get to know and serve with you. And one of the memories I have is as incoming freshmen, we went to Michigan State for that 2-day training, and as an icebreaker, we were given one of those 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper where you had to go fill in the blanks, find somebody in the room that had similar experiences. And I remember finding Pete Patalia, and he and I had both served as township supervisor and both hiked the Appalachian Trail. I don't know why that stuck out, but it sure does. And my second memory is of Brad Jacobson leaning over to me and asking, "Was your college roommate named Betty Weber?" And sure enough, it was. Brad's roommate, Mike, married my roommate, Betty. And Brad, with his great memory, remembered me from Michigan State in 1977 or 1978. It is a comfort of no short measure that I sit near this friend of nearly 30 plus years on the floor. Go green. Well, I'm a Bronco too, but to Nancy Jenkins and Joe Graves, I have enjoyed sitting in the back row of caucus with Nancy and I on either side of Joe to keep him in line, and he needs it frequently. To Holly Hughes, I'm so glad you were reelected. Your dedication and drive are amazing, and thank you for the example you set for all of us to keep going, putting one foot in front of the other all the time. To my Ottawa County colleagues, Arlen Meekoff, Joe Hoffman, Roger Victory, and Daniela Garcia, thank you for your flexibility and camaraderie in serving Ottawa County and your willingness to tackle issues across the state and not just in our backyard. To Tommy Stallworth, who we worked together on the initial stages of third grade reading together because we have an abiding belief in education in Michigan and that it has to be so much better for all of our children. We continue to be friends. It's amazing because he worked tirelessly for Hillary this year, and we are still friends. Wonders never cease. To Adam Zemke, I have watched Adam dig in on teacher evaluations for the past 3 years and see it through, and I enjoyed working with him on the third grade reading task force. We will remain friends. And to Education Committee members, I want to thank the members of the House Education Committee for their hard work and diligence as we tackled several challenging policy topics these past 2 years, in particular teacher evals and third grade reading. You put up with my love of literacy, and we disagreed on so many issues. It's so many issues. But please know that chocolate sauce is still coming. Thank you all.
Thank you, Representative.
I am not done. I know. I have really cool memories of certain events that we've been through together. My first term, a local government committee chaired by Mark Wimett. Pete Patalia was the vice chair. The majority vice chair. Minority was Wood Stanley. Andrea LaFontaine was on that committee. Deb Shaughnessy, Holly Hughes, Bruce Rendon, Marilyn Lane, David Rutledge, Maureen Stapleton. We tackled so many difficult issues in that committee, starting with emergency manager. Thank you, Al Pasholka. But I can never remember laughing so much in a committee. It was a blast. Our Bible study group at 7 a.m. on Wednesday mornings, where we studied God's Word, prayed for everyone, and took time away from legislation and politics to be God's children first. Thank you to Ken Kurtz and Ed McBroom for leading this group each and every week. It was very meaningful to me personally. Singing in the rotunda to fill those long hours of downtime in lame duck. We carried ourselves downstairs for hymns and carols, and it was such great fun. Climbing the Mackinac Bridge. Nancy Jenkins and I climbed over the side of the bridge, underneath it, and found ourselves about 2 inches from trucks going over the grates of the road surface. And then we scaled to the tower of the top of the bridge. And I will always remember that experience and recommend it to you all. Reading to children. By far my favorite aspect of this job is going into schools and reading to children. And this, with kindergartners, it's a little bit of a different experience. I would often wear a skirt to the classroom and wear nylons while I sat on a small chair right in front of the kindergartners. They were about 6 inches away. And it wasn't too long before I would feel the tops of my feet being pet by the kindergartners. They would just pet my feet. They had never seen a woman wearing nylons and were touching my feet to try to figure out what was on my legs. It happens over and over again, and I never fail to laugh. I ran to help turn the state around in 2010 and had no idea the scale and the amount of legislation that we would pass to accomplish this goal. Budgets, EM, tenure reform, right to work, repealing thousands of regulations, the Detroit bankruptcy, MBT, PPT reform. We tackled intractable issues in this legislature and put in place policies that will sustain our state for years to come. We have developed a great sense of pride in Michigan. No longer are we the recession-bound state continually laying off workers. No longer do we play second fiddle to states who have prospered on one economic measure or another. We have forged a new path for Michigan through the hard work of our employers, the new policies of our state government, the realization that Michigan is stunningly beautiful and ready and willing to work hard for its future. Maybe it was the Pure Michigan ads, or the governor's relentless positive action mantra, or jobs returning, or our kids coming home. But we have gained a pride in our state, I think, that is palpable. Thank you to Sue Snyder, of all people, for encouraging Rick Snyder to run for governor. And I thank them both for their persistence, will, and patience in creating a new vision for Michigan. Finally, I leave you with 2 strong recommendations. As Representative Potvin referenced before, I really encourage you to attend Council of State Government conventions or NCSL conventions. A number of us in the room have had the opportunity to participate in the Bowie Leadership Program out at Madison. I think in the upcoming year it's actually going to move to Minnesota. But it's a great way to get to know other legislators from the Midwest and the Canadian provinces, because we have so many issues that face the Midwest that you can tackle together if you have that relationship built up. You can get great new ideas for legislation. You can understand how a state dealt with a particular issue. And I just encourage you to take advantage of that great opportunity. And finally, I just want to leave you with these thoughts. And I hope you understand this metaphor, and I hope I can do this because I'm not Harvey Santana. Each spring in my district, Grand Valley State hosts the Lovers Cup Regatta, a competition of sculling for 8 rowers. And so just picture this in the Olympics. Hundreds of high school and university student athletes from around the country drive hundreds of miles with their sculls to Spring Lake, Michigan, of all places, in early April in Michigan. They put their boats in their ice-cold water, and it's snowing, it's raining, it's windy, and there is still ice in Spring Lake. Grand Valley, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Purdue, Notre Dame, and Marquette are some of the typical participants. These boats are long and narrow, and I'm not ever sure how the athletes fit in them, but it is evident that the students have spent long hours practicing their pull-throughs, coordinating the point at which the blade enters the water, and improving their stroke rates in order to win in competition. After 6 years on the Education Committee, it has become clear to me, though, that our education system in Michigan does not function as a coordinated team pulling against unsettled waters towards a goal. Rather, we are disjointed, each member of the great stakeholder universe of education pulling at their own pace, uncoordinated and hobbling, each on their own trajectory. In rowing, the term paddle tells a crew to row with just enough pressure to barely move the boat. I believe for years, Michigan has been sending a message to our education community to paddle. Do just enough to move the boat, to stay afloat. In a small stream, this may be enough. But even in Spring Lake, it is not enough to only paddle against ice and snow and wind and rain, because we will soon be overtaken and find ourselves on the shore and not crossing the finish line. Our children have suffered because our call to those rowing the boat has been timid. Paddle. Do just enough, even though we are buffeted by international competition, rapidly changing technology, and increased expectations. EdTrust Midwest reports that on the National Assessment for Educational Progress given in 2015, Michigan's fourth graders are ranked 41st in the nation for fourth grade reading, down from 28th in 2003 and 38th in 2013. And if the state does not dramatically improve its educational practices and policies, Michigan is on track to be 48th by 2030. On the 2015 NAEP math test for fourth grade, Michigan's statewide average was 236. That's up 6 points since 2000, but the national average in 2015 is 240. Our black students scored 28 points lower than our white students. In both math and reading, the scores for our black students are alarming. When you look at our MEP score, or our M-STEP scores, I was mortified to see that this past spring that third grade reading was below 50%, but slightly more mortified to find out that that was the highest score on any of the measures on the M-STEP. There are no silver bullets in the solution of this stagnation. It will take a dedicated refocusing to improve educational outcomes, but it needs to start, and it's needed to start yesterday. Recently, there have been a few signs of encouragement in education circles. A year ago, Congress enacted a new education law, ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, allowing states much greater flexibility to implement their own vision of education. It is a great advancement, and I hope one that Michigan will fully embrace and take advantage of. Our new president has nominated a new Secretary of Education, Michigan's own Betsy DeVos, who I am convinced will have a wonderful impact on education across the country. Education is best administered by the states, and I hope Betsy's tenure at the department will usher in a new era where states no longer have to act in compliance with the federal government, but set their own course. And the governor has established a 21st Century Education Commission to envision what education will look like into the future. And I commend him for this vision, and I look forward to the report in the near future. But in this role as chair of education, I have observed misaligned systems that need attention. Our higher education institutions need to teach our new teachers on how to teach in the classroom, not just theory. They also need to know how to use data to improve instruction. Our preschool programs need to prepare children to enter kindergarten, knowing numbers, letters, and colors, and well on their way to reading. We need to focus early on the critical areas of literacy and numeracy so that this building block is firmly in place in a child's educational experience. We need to offer career opportunities to our young people and not try to fit every child into the college slot. And we need a Board of Education focused on improving educational outcomes and not political aspirations or grandstanding. If we are going to come out of this stagnation, we have to stop paddling. We have to haul out the outboard motor, strap it on the boat, and rev up the engine. There is no time to waste. A few years ago, I met a superintendent who said something to me very important. It was from Holly's district. He said, around here, we do what's best for kids, and the adults will just have to adjust. I hope all those new and returning members take these words to heart and put them into action. Around here, around the legislature and the state, we do what's best for kids, and the adults will just have to adjust. May God bless all of you in this chamber. May God bless the great state of Michigan, and may God bless the United States of America.